Hello, this is Alicia, and welcome to another installation of my vlog journey. Again, I'm trying to upload these every Wednesday. Please like the videos and comment on them to help my channel a little bit, and also to let me know if you've watched it, because I do feel a little bit like I'm shouting into the void, which is fine. This is more for myself and for holding space for myself than anything else, but it's also really encouraging to know when somebody else has watched these videos or if they've found anything useful or interesting about them. So today's video is, as you can see, about driving 35 miles an hour. Another kind of functioning, working metaphor that I'm using in my life right now is the idea of a 35 mile an hour life. Basically, when I moved out here, I noticed that it was very hard for me to drive 35 miles an hour when I was going down these little country back roads. It was a conscious effort. I had to constantly take my foot off the gas and think, slow down, slow down, slow down. And over the last year of really trying to settle in and slow down, what I've noticed is that my driving and my driving speed kind of tends to parallel the state of my nervous system and my nervous system self-regulation. So what I notice is that if I'm in an adrenalized state, I drive highway speeds. I drive 75 miles an hour. I am go, 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 and it's very hard for me to drive below the speed limit or at the speed limit in the secondary streets around town. Many of the streets are 20 miles an hour or 30 miles an hour, and the one where I live is 35 miles an hour. And those really are the speeds that you should be going on these smaller roads with the driveways and the traffic as it is. But what I notice is that when I'm in a really highly adrenal state, it's incredibly conscious and hard for me to go those speeds. However, when I'm in a nice parasympathetic nervous system state and I'm really self-regulated and I'm really calm and I'm not stressed out, what I notice is that driving those slower speeds is not only natural and effortless, it's actually preferable. And I don't want to speed up. Sometimes I'll take the secondary roads instead of the highway, even though the highway is much more efficient to get where I'm going, just so that I don't have to go 75 miles an hour. And what I've noticed is that I'm able to kind of get a gauge on where I am stress-wise based on how my driving style is and what my natural speed is when I'm behind the wheel. So earlier this year, and for part of my 2023 New Year's resolutions, one of the resolutions that I set was to create muscle memory for a 35 mile an hour life. And one of the things about the 35 mile an hour life and that muscle memory is just slowing down in basically everything that I'm doing. I spend a lot more time just being. I also spend a lot more time really thinking about and focusing on peace and contentment as a part of that roll in 35 miles an hour. At first, when I was first discovering all of these little patterns within myself, it was very hard for me not only to drive 35 miles an hour, but to embrace that peace and contentment. It was incredibly hard to just tend the fire in the fireplace and watch the fire crackling in the fireplace and not have something else to do, not have something else that I'm performing or managing. And so that's when I started darning socks about a year ago. It's also when I really started paying attention to the fact that I was so used to being stressed out that having a state of non-stress actually felt scary. My body was kind of looking around for the bear that wasn't there. And I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop. I kept waiting for some sort of sense of something to trigger the anxiety that my body was still feeling. And what I've been really working on is feeling my way into calm contentment and really making sure that I understand that I'm safe, and I'm safe to be calm, and I'm safe to be peaceful, and I'm safe to be contented. I set the intention almost every day to feel contentment or peace. Almost every day, that's my biggest goal for the day. I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel contented. And so I don't go for joy, because joy is usually a lot like other emotions, where it's quick and it's fast and it's fleeting. And I don't think that we should try to grasp for joy or even try to shoot for joy too often, because it is so fleeting. I think it's just kind of like a bonus situation when it arises. Same with delight or inspiration. I feel like those are kind of just bonuses that layer on top of this like kind of baseline contentment. One of the reasons why I made the choice to take this sabbatical and to leave my prior career was because what had happened by the middle of the year this year is that I was really functioning in that 35 mile an hour speed all the time, except for at work. I was realizing that except for when I was logged on and on Zoom and working, I was really able to just embrace that slower pace of life. I was able to take naps and watch the fire and walk the dog and chop firewood and do the things that really ground me in the place where I am, and really enjoy and relish my space and my house and the time that I have to do all of these things. So what was out of alignment then was the level of stress that was going on at work. And over the course of the year, I was able to tell that basically it was out of my control. I could set certain boundaries, or I could, block certain times on my calendar or whatever to attempt to maintain that slow, steady pace that I was going for. But in reality, sometimes it's the nature of the business, sometimes it's the culture of the company, sometimes it's just capitalism. And what I was running into is that I was not able to create the nervous system self-regulation status and state and stability that I wanted to have all the time, and still work full time in that role. And what I kind of came down to was that maybe that was part of the reason why I needed to think of something differently and learn a different way of being and learn a different way of existing in the world. So it was a huge part of what inspired me to do this whole thing. And naturally, since that time, and being in the last couple of weeks without the full-time job, I have been able to achieve 35 mile an hour life a lot more. I've been able to be much more regulated in terms of my nervous system. I've also been able to balance things out a little bit. What's been interesting has been the adrenaline spikes when they occur since the time that I left full-time work. Because, of course, the expectation is, well, if I'm not working full-time and I'm on this sabbatical, I will be pretty chill all the time. But that's not entirely the case. In fact, I've had, 3 or 4 instances in the last month of times when my adrenaline has spiked and I have gone into that 75 mile an hour mode. And some of them have been a little bit more existential, when I'm walking low-key after dark and we hear something rustle in the woods and he gets his hackles up and growls into the darkness. That is an adrenaline spike. That is seriously an adrenaline spike. But it feels more grounded in reality because I needed us to get inside right then, right there. Like I was responding to an actual animal of some sort in the woods. And that kind of adrenaline spike feels healthier than one that is created by a last minute meeting or an unexpected Slack message. It's a question of what are the real monsters? What are the real things that should trigger a fight or flight response in an adrenal response? And I would say that a mountain lion in the woods or a bear in the woods outside my house is probably worth it. So that's kind of what I've been observing is when does my nervous system do that? Because there is a balance, right? We do need to have some sort of good stress and we do need to challenge ourselves and we do need to be able to respond when there is danger. But at the same time, like most of the time, I want to be contented and I want to be relaxed. So if that means chopping a little bit of firewood until my back says, nope, you're done. Or if that means really just taking a nap in the middle of the day, that's what's called for. And I've been really enjoying navigating this and figuring out how to move it into my life as I move forward into my next career steps. How do I balance this desire for self-regulation against the need to make an income? That's kind of the question that I'm living in right now. And that's definitely a part of this journey overall. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back next Wednesday.